Regular Show. Among one of, if not the best Cartoon Network shows to ever grace that, what is now a shitstorm of a network. And here's a picture of me in front of the now defunct Cartoon Network building back in 2023. Back when I still had the flashlights in my hair, and really it was also the same year I started this channel. Good fucking times. Though it's only been a year and a half since then. It's quite a long time. And we're almost close to 1,000 fucking subs, which blows my mind and heart. Because you guys are getting like recognition, potentially even paid, to do this shit, because we're so close to me getting the watch hours. I don't even know if YouTubers are allowed to explain this kind of shit, but I'm basically halfway there from getting my videos monetized, and it would mean the world to me if you guys could watch till the end, because I know this is a long ass video, but it's because of that, right? I think I might actually be able to reach the requirements to have my videos monetized, along with the 1,000 subscriber requirement, which we are so close to. So if you can hit that subscribe button, like the video, but I won't bore you with my personal problems, because here we are going to try to find the most regular episode of Regular Show. Regular Show is known for being anything but regular. In fact, I don't know if you guys remember a couple years ago, people on TikTok only then coming to the realization that Regular Show would eventually, if always, end up spiraling into a fucking chaotic mess before coming to a resolution. Kind of like Phineas and Ferb in the way that their inventions would be taken away before, Phineas's mom could ever see. Does that make sense? It was a formulaic plot, weirdly enough, looking back at it. But that begs the question, based off the joke that the show is anything but regular, is there at all an episode where, well, nothing weird happens and a regular storyline? The Night Owl could be seen as a pretty normal episode of Regular Show, to be honest, due to the fact that it's just the gang wanting to get a car from what is essentially a modern day YouTube video. I think it's also funny that the Night Owl himself is kind of dressed up like Jake Paul, what with the fruity pink pants and the douchebag glasses. But by the time the episode branches out into the whole second half and the whole sci-fi, elements kick in, well, the gang having to get the time machine back to go back to the present time, it becomes a little less normal. But for a while, I wouldn't lie, this episode probably would have been the pick. But because of the second half, right, this makes this episode non-applicable. But pretty funny though. And kind of creepy looking back in hindsight, because even before the whole AI takeover of the internet, this was like the most common type of thing, the Mr. Beast tropes. I guess AI isn't so bad after all when you think about it. Another Regular Show episode that some of y'all might think could be seen as regular for the show standards could be Weekend at Benson's. But I disagree personally, because let's be honest, I know there are some cool bosses out there, but the idea of two people getting their boss shit-faced at another girl's apartment that happens to be their neighbor's apartment, whatever the case may be, right, is a bit unrealistic. Not to mention, even though in the Regular Show universe, wings are portrayed as having this alcoholic effect, they take it a little to the extreme with the whole acid trip montage with Mississippi Queen playing, which is a song that really does to this day admittedly still go really hard. So despite being somewhat normal, especially by the show's regular standards, ironically enough, I don't think this episode is the most normal, at least compared to some of the other episodes I'm going to mention on this list, and you shall see. So though it's a close pick, it's not applicable. Good pick though, if you to assume, but it's not the one yet. Funny episode though. Another modern episode of Regular Show that some of y'all may find to be not so, well, irregular. Sorry, that was horrible. Y'all remember the Irregular Show series? YouTube poop series? Y'all even know what YouTube poops are? Anyways, off topic. But this episode features essentially and centrally Eileen being scared of a snow tubing ride. And if you're like me, anyone for that matter that has been scared of heights or rides or roller coasters, you can relate to Eileen's fear and the anxiety of, well, your friends or family are meanwhile excited to go on whatever ride it is. You're just there in the fucking background trying your best to prolong as much time, even if that means hitting every bathroom stop on the way there, or just trying to convince and essentially beg your friends or family not to, take you on that roller coaster. I remember one time my sister and her ex invited me to go to Six Flags back in like 2017, so I must have been like 13. And being still remotely young, I was fucking horrified to go on any of the rides at Six Flags, because Six Flags is known for having some of the most extreme rides, including rides that not only go upside down, but fucking backwards for some reason. So I literally remember right before riding the Batman ride, sweating so fucking hard that my sister even noticed. I ended up just closing my eyes on every ride, and my sister's ex actually prevented me from blacking out because the rides go so fast. I lost control of my head and I almost hit the engine, but he held my head in place, so you know we could avoid that from happening. A very scary but fun time looking back at it. Oh my god, what was this about? The regular show episode? Yeah, this is basically that. There are some cool visuals near the end when Rigby and Eileen go down the mountain, including a Yeti and even a fucking what appears to be another fellow snow tuber that got stuck in there, funnily enough. But that's really as far as it goes, and we all know by regular show standards, that's fairly tame. So this would be a pick, but it's not the number one pick, because, right, that's a bit unrealistic considering that Yetis don't exist, although Skips is a Yeti, so how does that make sense? That in and of itself makes this episode not applicable, but I wouldn't blame you if you thought it was number one. The winner is, well, ironically enough, or I guess unironically, I don't fucking know, big winner. The episode obviously centers on Mordecai and Rigby getting Muscle Man a fake lottery ticket without him realizing, which leads to the whole escalation and essentially storyline of the episode, where things get out of hand, including Muscle Man breaking everything because he thinks he can just replace it all. But what's weird about this episode is that it's by far the tamest in the series looking back at it. There aren't even any weird visuals like in Dawn where the like audit is like seen in like code, like where you can see like coding in the background and like a Rubik's Cube in the background. There's some pretty cool visuals in that episode. But this episode doesn't really feature any, except for like the slight red lighting during the final showdown between Muscle Man and the fucking SWAT team. Which I guess is kind of weird, but in all reality, right? People go crazy over lottery tickets, and money in general. It's a very sad thing, but true nonetheless. Which is why I feel like something like this could actually have happened. It might have actually somewhere out there in the world, and if it hasn't happened, it will. So, in a way, this episode could kind of predict a real event in some way, maybe. Which is why I think it's by far the most normal episode of Regular Show. So yeah, that's all I have to say.